What's going on, everyone? So, the Milwaukee Bucks reports came out. One of the players that they are interested in a potential trade for is VJ EDGECOMB, right? So, VJ EDGECOMB, young, very talented. I mean, he's been fantastic this year. And kind of an ideal building block that's already kind of proven to have that star potential going to a team like Milwaukee Bucks. Remember, Milwaukee doesn't have a ton of assets, right? Like, in the assets that they do have, they don't really have control over. It's all like swaps and the lesser of picks and stuff. Like, they're just not in a great spot. So you need to get as many picks and young players and things like that as possible, right? You need to put yourself in a position to where you can kind of, get as many assets and young players as possible that can kind of be your foundation and building block. So that way, hey, even though we don't have our own picks, we already got the foundation for the future, right? The Philadelphia 76ers, in my opinion, I want to start this right off the bat, is a terrible idea for Giannis and a terrible idea for both ways, right? For Sixers to go trade for Giannis and Giannis to go trade, wanting to go trade, get traded to the Sixers. Right? On paper, it's the greatest team that was ever assembled, right? Like, or at least the greatest front court ever assembled, right? Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Paul George. 5 years ago, if I told you that was a thing, you'd be like, that might be the greatest team of all time, right? Like, but you look at it now and it's like, does that team even make the playoffs, right? Because can they even be healthy? Giannis Antetokounmpo's had a lot of injury issues the last few years, right? Joel Embiid, I mean, come on. Like, the guy just can't stay healthy to save his life. And Paul George, same thing. Paul George looks washed and injury prone. Joel Embiid's getting to that point where he looks washed and injury prone, right? Like, so again, it's like reality, paper doesn't always equal on-court production. Also, can those three actually coexist and work? If I'm Giannis, there's no shot. Like, I don't want anything to do with Philadelphia, right? Especially if you're getting rid of all the young talent and stuff. It's like, yeah, again, it's just, I wouldn't be able to rely on anybody. Nobody there is healthy. Daryl Morey would do it in a heartbeat, right? If he can go land Giannis onto, he'd do it in a heartbeat. He's superstar chaser, all of that. So if Daryl Morey, like, if Giannis was like, yeah, I want to go there, like, VJ EDGECOMB, all of it, they'd be gone, right? Like, he would probably trade Tyrese Maxey too in order to land Giannis. And then that way he could say, oh, but I got Paul George, Giannis, and Joel Embiid. Look how good this roster is, right? And on paper, it would look ridiculous, but in reality, it probably wouldn't be very good, right? Now look, if Joel Embiid and Paul George were healthy and were playing to the level that we know both of them are capable of, then yeah, there's a lot of sense in it. Right? Like, I mean, you'd probably be the best defensive team in basketball, right? Like, and then not just that, I mean, you have three guys that go get you 30 plus on any given night. Paul George is shown that he can play kind of that second, third fiddle kind of guy, right? Like, it just, but the problem is those two haven't been able to be proven, right? So, like, it doesn't really make sense for those three, for that to even be a reality. And you realistically have to trade Paul George in order to get that done. And how are you going to do it? Who's taking Paul George? And if those two were healthy, or at least if one was, right? Say Joel Embiid was healthy and looking like MVP Joel Embiid. Then at that point, there's a lot of, like, maybe we should make this happen. Right? We have a chance to pair Joel Embiid and Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo together, and then if Paul George does come around, watch out. But that's not a reality. Same thing if Paul George was really good and back to being PG 13 and all that stuff, Paul George, and just like looking every bit the part. Yeah, again, there would be some sense. Like, man, we turn Paul George and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then if Joel Embiid can get healthy and get back to being Joel Embiid, we might have the best team in basketball. Like, but that's not the reality. So and if you're the 76ers, again, you can't rely on any of these guys. So why in the world would you want to trade VJ EDGECOMB? What they should be doing is looking to trade Joel Embiid and Paul George to the highest bidder even if whatever it is, like as long as you don't have to take back a bunch. I mean, you could argue Paul George is the worst contract in basketball, so be kind of hard to find a contract worse than that like you take on. But like if somebody's like, hey, I'll give you a second to take a flyer on Paul George, here you go, please. Like what the Sixers should be doing is tearing this down and building around VJ EDGECOMB and Tyrese Maxey. That's what they should be doing, right? And they should have probably gotten a better return for if you were going to trade. If you're going to unload any of your young guys, right? You need to continue to get better returns, right? Like you can't just get fleeced by the Thunder, right? Like in the middle of a trade. So, for Jared McCain, there we go. I knew it popped to me. And so I tried to do the like whole switch, right? Like what came to me. Good. So yeah, like you can't just get fleeced at a Jared McCain trade like that. And now he's over here thriving with the Thunder. So again, if you're the 76ers, you honestly need to go the opposite route of Giannis Antetokounmpo. The problem is Daryl Morey's not really known to do that, right? Daryl Morey's always looking for the next star and the next star and the next star. And how can I get creative and figure out how to put 5 stars on the same team? Right? And that's, if he has a chance to do, that's like, if I'm a Sixers fan, I am concerned about this report, right? If I am a Sixers fan, I am looking at this going like, I have Daryl Morey, and if he really believes that he has a shot to go land Giannis Antetokounmpo, guess what Daryl Morey's probably going to do? He's probably going to go land Giannis Antetokounmpo. And so, to me, I just 5 years ago, this made all the sense in the world. 5 years ago, you do whatever you have to do to put Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo on the same team. You sell the farm, you do whatever you have to, even if it's a total disaster and a total dumpster fire. And let's say it's like those 3 don't fit in the slightest. It's the worst big 3 ever. You still made the right decision because you have a chance to pair. I mean, 5 years ago, you're talking about 2 top 3 to 5 players in basketball. And then, and Joel Embiid's winning MVPs and arguably the best player in all of basketball. You have a chance to pair those 2 together. And then Paul George, right? Like 5 years ago, this was a no-brainer. Now it's like, I think you do the opposite. I think you're trying to sell all 3 of those guys. But it's going to be interesting because Daryl Morey makes for a very interesting situation. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Also, if you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thanks.